Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a face-to-face comparison that perfectly captures the contrast between modern stealth warfare and classic air dominance philosophy, the American F-35 Lightning II versus China's J-11 fighter jet. This matchup isn't just about speed or firepower, it's about two very different generations of combat aviation meeting in the same sky. Let's start with the F-35, a fifth-generation multi-role stealth fighter designed to dominate the battlefield long before the enemy even knows it's there. The F-35 isn't built to look intimidating in a dogfight, it's built to win wars through information, precision, and networked combat. Its stealth design reduces radar detection to a minimum, allowing it to penetrate heavily defended airspace. But stealth is only part of the story. The real power of the F-35 lies in its sensor fusion. Every radar ping, infrared signature, electronic signal, and data link is combined into a single, clear picture for the pilot. This means the pilot doesn't just fly the jet, they command the battle space. The F-35 carries advanced AESA radar, distributed aperture systems that give a 360-degree view around the aircraft, and powerful electronic warfare capabilities. Even when it's not firing a single missile, the F-35 can disrupt enemy radars, share targeting data with allies, and act as a flying command center. Its internal weapons bays allow it to stay stealthy while carrying precision-guided missiles and bombs, making it deadly in both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions. Now let's look at the J-11. The J-11 is a Chinese-built fighter derived from the Russian Su-27 flanker, a fourth-generation heavy air superiority jet designed for speed, altitude, and raw maneuverability. The J-11 is big, powerful, and visually imposing. It's built to carry a large weapons load, fly long distances, and engage enemies in high-energy aerial combat. Over the years, China has upgraded the J-11 with improved avionics, radar systems, and indigenous weapons, making later variants far more capable than the original versions. In a traditional sense, the J-11 excels in speed and agility. Its twin engines provide strong thrust, allowing it to climb quickly and sustain high speeds. In a visual-range dogfight, the J-11's aerodynamic design gives it impressive turning performance, especially when armed with high off-bore sight missiles and helmet-mounted sights. If combat ever gets close and visual, the J-11 can be a serious threat. But modern air combat rarely starts, or ends, in a turning dogfight. This is where the F-35's advantage becomes overwhelming. In a beyond visual range scenario, the F-35 would likely detect the J-11 long before the J-11's radar even realizes something is nearby. With its low radar cross-section, the F-35 can choose when to engage, when to disengage, or when to simply observe and pass targeting data to other aircraft, ships, or ground systems. Imagine a real combat scenario. The J-11 is patrolling at high altitude, radar scanning the skies, confident in its speed and missile range. Meanwhile, an F-35 is operating silently, sensors gathering data, invisible to most conventional radars. Before the J-11 pilot even gets a warning tone, a missile could already be on the way. That's the reality of fifth-generation warfare. That doesn't mean the J-11 is obsolete. Far from it. In numbers, and with support from ground-based radars and airborne early warning aircraft, the J-11 becomes much more dangerous. China's strategy often emphasizes integrated air defense systems, where fighters like the J-11 work as part of a larger network. In that environment, the J-11 can rely on external targeting information rather than its own radar, reducing the stealth advantage of the F-35 to some extent. When it comes to payload, the J-11 can carry more weapons externally than the F-35 can internally. This gives it endurance and firepower in non-stealth scenarios, especially for air patrols and interception missions. However, external weapons also increase radar visibility, making the J-11 easier to track and target. The F-35, on the other hand, trades raw payload for survivability and precision. Its philosophy isn't about carrying the most missiles, it's about ensuring the missiles it does carry reach their target without being detected. And when stealth is no longer required, the F-35 can also carry weapons externally, increasing its versatility. Training and doctrine also play a major role. The F-35 is flown by pilots trained to fight in highly coordinated, information-driven battles. Every F-35 in the air is connected, sharing data in real time. The J-11's effectiveness depends heavily on how well it's integrated into China's broader command and control structure, and how pilots are trained to operate in complex, electronic warfare-heavy environments. So who wins in an F-35 versus J-11 showdown? In most modern scenarios, especially beyond visual range, the advantage clearly leans toward the F-35. Stealth, sensor fusion, and networked warfare give it the first look, the first shot, and often the first kill. But in close combat, or in scenarios where stealth is degraded and the fight becomes visual, the J-11's power and maneuverability make it a dangerous opponent. This comparison isn't really about which jet is better in absolute terms. It's about eras and philosophies. The J-11 represents the peak of fourth-generation fighter design, fast, powerful, and deadly in traditional air combat. The F-35 represents the future, invisible, connected, and dominant through information rather than brute force. And that's what makes this matchup so fascinating. It's not just F-35 versus J-11, it's stealth versus strength, data versus dogfights, and the future of air combat versus the legacy of classic fighter dominance. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments which matchup you want to see next.